Family is Providence. Thanks for tuning in. Listen, I know none of us likes getting into trouble, but trouble oftentimes is the perfect thing we need to be in because it causes us to reflect on life and causes us to learn lessons and causes us to think about how we can be better men and women. And if you don't know, Lil Durk is in a lot of trouble. Lil Durk is facing Fed charges for allegedly putting out a hit that got Quando Rondo's cousin killed. He recently released a statement letting us know about his mental, what he'd been doing in prison, and now he wants to change and be a better man for the kids. I wanted to look at that statement and see what we could learn from it. Let's listen to what Lil Durk had to say.
Yeah, I just want to give y'all just an update on my mental, my mind state. I just been reading to get into these books, just working on my patience. I've been reading Pawns in the Game by William Gacar, Huey Newton, Fred Hampton, Elaine Brown, just all the revolutionaries, who've been through something and stand for something that a lot of people don't know of or forgot about. And I just been, it's just been sitting on my heart lately to just save the generation, bro. Save these kids. They don't deserve it. I'm just tired of being a pawn for the culture,
Now, I will admit, it's hard to get a read on Lil Durk in this situation. I hope he's telling the truth, that he's been reading, expanding his horizons, reflecting, and trying to become a better man. But we also know that this could very well be a PR stunt. We understand that he is facing serious charges and jury selection is coming up. And so if you can influence the public to think that you are a good man, you've reflected on your actions, and you want to bring hope and healing and change to the community, well, that helps. You want to influence the public to think that, as he's still claiming that he's not guilty of these charges, this type of recording helps. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here that maybe some change is taking place. What I found interesting that he said was he's tired of being a pawn for the culture. And he's absolutely right in the sense that he was, in fact, a pawn for the culture. Now, he enriched himself off of being a pawn for the culture because, well, the culture bought his music, supported him, and he was very successful and benefited off of that. But he was a crash out for the culture. He is in prison right now and potentially have thrown his life away to spend the rest of his life in prison because he felt like he needed to prove to the culture that he was real, that he from the streets, and that he's gonna slide. Now, let's be clear, innocent until proven guilty, allegedly, but the feeling is Lil Durk did in fact do what he has been accused of doing. And there are now a number of people who are prepared to snitch, a number of informants who are prepared to testify. And if you've been paying attention to the trial, things aren't looking good for Lil Durk. Now, what happened and what defense can prove are often two totally different things. But we literally listened to Lil Durk get on a podcast, get on DJ Akademiks podcast, and said, yeah, they ain't in my comments telling me to slide no more. What that mean? That means he did it. Okay? But the fact that they were in his comments telling him to slide was him being used by the culture for their entertainment. And he went out and he slid. Yes, he was the pawn for the culture. He was a pawn. And the fans in hip hop, they wanted to see their rapper do what they've been talking about in the music. And he went out, committed a crime, and now his life might be finished.
Entertaining and being ignorant, you know what I'm saying? I want to change the world around to being positive.
Hey, look, I got to keep it a buck. It's hard to take Lil Durk seriously when he's talking about how he wants to bring peace, love, and happiness to the world and no longer promote ignorance. It's very easy to say that now when you're facing Fed charges. Where was this positivity when you were out and free and making millions of dollars, promoting all that gang life in the music? So it's hard to believe. And Lil Durk has said this before, that he was going to promote peace and positivity, and that very quickly went by the wayside. But again, let's give Lil Durk the benefit of the doubt. Some change is happening. What does that look like? Let's just say Lil Durk beats this case. What does it look like for Lil Durk to no longer want to push ignorance? Is he going to start rapping about some of the same things he's rapping about? Is he going to talk to other rappers? Hey man, let's just chill with all this street stuff. Is he at least going to tell other rappers to keep the streets from rap? Like, is he going to tell these street rappers that come into the game that now it's time to leave the hood behind and leave all that behind? What does it mean? Is Lil Durk going to become a gospel rapper? Is he going to be the next Lil Cray? But I guess from a Muslim perspective, I don't know. What does it actually mean? Because it's very easy to talk. Talk is very easy to do. And he's incentivized to talk right now behind bars. But unless he's got a clear plan for what change looks like, all it is just talk.
I want to start with saying, like, when it comes to support, I'd be cool because, when Jay-Z went through his situation, he the people's champ. They turned their back on him. Even Drake and Kendrick, you know what I'm saying?
Now he brings up a Jay-Z situation and Drake and Kendrick. Not gonna lie, he loses me here. What situation did Jay-Z go through that the people turned their backs on him? Is he talking about last year when he was essentially falsely accused of being a PDF with the lawsuit from Busby? I don't really think people turn their backs on him with that situation. Yeah, you're always going to have people on the internet who don't like Jay-Z saying stuff, but it was just a lawsuit. It wasn't criminal charges. And as soon as we started to look into the lawsuit, we saw that it was frivolous. Is he talking about Jay-Z's situation with the Epstein files? I mean, again, you had the internet trolls, but I don't think anybody really substantively turned themselves against Jay-Z. So I didn't get what he meant by that. And then he brought up Drake and Kendrick. Again, how did people turn their back on Drake and Kendrick? Kendrick is seen as the winner of that beef. He was loved and celebrated. Drake, you can make an argument that they turned their back on Drake, but I don't see how Drake's situation is compared to you. Drake was in a rap beef and the internet might have trolled and maybe the culture kind of was off Drake for a little bit, but you're accused of murder for hire. You're facing Fed charges. Like, you're accused of a serious crime. I guess he's trying to say that people turned their back on him and he's not receiving the same level of support, sort of like how Drake and Kendrick and Jay-Z didn't. But at the end of the day, bro, like, you're accused of a serious crime. The feds don't come unless they have evidence against you. I don't know how you can compare yourself to Drake. I don't get that. So he kind of loses me here. I don't really know what his point was in this. And while I do feel for him if he feels like he's lost support, but I do wonder if that's just him sort of positioning himself as this innocent person that people have turned their backs on. But I understand that he's going to have to maintain his innocence as well. But Lil Durk, we're not dumb. Like, these charges are real and we know what you about. We know what we know where you came from. We know who you used to hang around. We know what you used to rap about for real. We know the real losses you took in your life. And if the feds is coming at you, now the feds can be wrong, but they ain't coming at you unless they got evidence. So while I don't wish for anyone to lose support, and I understand innocent until proven guilty, he's got to understand why a lot of people would have cause to support him. And this makes me question of whether or not he's really going to take responsibility. Again, he can't come out and say, I'm guilty and I've changed and I'm sorry. That means nothing. And he'll be going to prison for the rest of his life. But at the end of the day, no real mission to change the culture and save the kids is going to happen from Lil Durk unless he comes to terms with the fact that, yo, I did this and I don't want to steer people, especially these little kids, down the same road that I took.
So I'm gonna be the first one to just do it, you know what I'm saying? And not saying the first one to do it, but for these kids, we gotta be their heroes. You know what I'm saying? They gotta look up to us in a positive way. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people ain't gonna like it. If you can't make money off of it, they ain't gonna like it. So I'm gonna be the first one to do it. Revolutionary.
Well, Lil Durk, I'm happy to hear you say this. Again, am I skeptical? I ain't gonna lie, I am. But should you beat this case, I hope that hip hop holds you to this. Do I expect you to change hip hop? Probably not. But can you do your part to really speak to the culture and tell them to chill? Yeah, you can. And truth be told, brother, even if you don't beat this case and you're spending the rest of your life in prison, I still hope we get these types of recordings from you telling the culture to chill out. We gonna really see how serious Lil Durk is about change. Whether he beats this case or not, this is where I want to see Lil Durk headed. Because at the end of the day, there's always going to be more Lil Durk showing up into hip hop, talented artists who from the streets and for some reason can't leave the streets behind. So we need to promote this from Lil Durk. We need to encourage Lil Durk to walk down this path seriously and try to help the little kids not make the same mistakes he did. Well, anyway, guys, this has been my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. You think Lil Durk's serious? You think this is just a PR stunt? You think it's too little too late for Lil Durk? Or can he still have an impact no matter what? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like the video, subscribe. It's your boy Providence. See you guys in the next video.